Welcome along to round 15 of RRC WNR here in Sakhir, Bahrain. You are tuned in to the silver division. So if you were silver division, just hear my voice, sorry, apologies. So here we are then, Sakhir, Bahrain. Very good race last time out in Silverstone if you were tuned in. If not, we are on YouTube. We race here at RRC for 6 days a week. Moving into season 2 next year, we will be running a different format in each division. So if you are interested, search for us on Facebook and come and have a trial. So this is the Wednesday night division of RRC, silver level, almost the second tier. Then slight change this week. Usually it is just 10 drivers, but obviously Rainer won the championship last weekend from that drive in Silverstone. So in preparation for season 2 we are running 18 drives today, but it has been opened up to 20. So the way Wednesday night racing works, it is 4 drivers per constructor across the 2 divisions, with both championships for drivers being obviously individual, and then an overall team constructors across the 2, so all 4 drivers trying to score points for the one team. Currently Williams, I believe, are top of the championship if I've got my facts right, and if they can outscore Mercedes in over these next 2 weeks by 37 points, we will have our constructors champion for WNR. So here we are then at Sakhir for this race, and we'll jump on board with Regan in that racing point then as we come for our first flying lap of this qualifying session. Up towards a sharp right braking zone of turn 1, shifting it down into second there for Regan as it comes around up to turns 3. Oh yeah, validated his lap there, slightly bit wide on the right hand side of the track, and unfortunately he will have to go around again. As I said, 18 drivers tonight. Unfortunately, we have a reduced grid, but it shall still be an enthralling race, you would imagine. So just to let you know, we've got our full qualifying running today. So that is a 18-minute Q1, which you are witnessing right now. Q2 will be 15 minutes, and in that session, that is where the drivers will set their strategy for the race. Whatever tyres their fastest lap time is set upon is that first stint. And then it comes to that all-important pole position shootout in Q3, where it's just all about speed and putting your car as high up the grid as you can. So as I said, Rainer currently still in the pits, but he is the champion in this division. Brilliant drive last week in Silverstone from everybody, but he did enough to seal the championship. So he and Jacob in the Williams will be looking to contribute to that Constructors' Championship as we move into Bahrain. So already 3 minutes gone then, still waiting for the first time of this lap. Remember, Regan was out, but he invalidated, so I think it may be the Mercedes of Stead, as we've got yellow flags in sector 3. That's just for cars slowing down. You see on the minimum of Regan in the pit lane. So who will be the first driver to set a lap time? Oh, there we go, Toon Fan and Maverick, the first two to set it, a 1:29.7 from Detroit. Hopefully he'll have a good race today. Maverick just a few tenths shy in the 1:30s then. So you see Devil's Nightmare there in the McLaren coming down to the infamous turn 9, one of the slowest corners on the grid. Very sharp braking zone already. You can see the time starting to fall then at the top of this. Jacob in the Williams, 1:28.7. Good start for that Williams driver, 3 tenths ahead of LH, and Gavlar a further 6 tenths back. Mono then goes P6 in that Ferrari. Always hard to know who to focus on in these early stages. You see there, Devil's Nightmare going a bit wide and invalidating his time in that sector 3 then. Bahrain, one of the more aesthetically pleasing races on this track, as we're riding on board with your champion for this season, Rainer then. Teammate currently in at P1. Doesn't matter too much so far where you finish, as long as you are in what will be the top 15 for this session, as we lose P16 to 18, but as I always say, it's that early confidence boost of knowing that you can get your car around here quicker than anyone else. You come out to turn 10, then up the hill. Remember, trying to stay away from this inside right curb you're about to see. Keeping the car nice and wide. If you touch that curb, you're more than likely going to be spun into the wall. I've seen it happen many a time. Hopefully the drivers don't suffer that fate tonight. So we'll stay on board then with Reina as we go towards his first qualifying lap. 6 minutes already gone in this session. Here we go then, on board with your champion for this season. DRS pops open down past the pit edge. Again, a little bit of tow from his teammate there in front of him. Up towards then turn 1. Down nice and tight on the apex there, opening the car up on the left hand side into turn 3. Up through the second DRS zone. Or first, I should actually say, in terms of crossing the line through the right hander of turn 4. Drivers might want to watch out for this turns 5, 6 and 7 combination. Banking a little bit tricky. If you take too much of the curb, it will once again send you into spin. That's what these curbs here in Bahrain will do to a Formula 1 car. Down into the 9 and 10 combination then. Don't want to be going too abreast there. It will end in tears. As you come out through the second DRS zone of the lap, then up into turn 11. Coming through turns 12 and 13 now we go as we come up, as we see a racing point is that stuck by the side of the track. Looks like it, as Reina goes purple in sector 2 then. Be interesting to see what happened to that racing point. He's back on the racing line now. So coming round turns 14 and 15. Isn't really a double corner, but this little kink on the right hand side constitutes turn 15 as we come down now towards the line. It is a 1 minute 28.4 for your champion then. Williams currently sitting 1 and 2. That'll do them well for the constructors if things stay the same. We shall see. 10 minutes to go then in this session. Mr. Gavlar there. Is he about to start a lap or will he be diving in? We'll wait and see. Regan. So Regan there invalidating his lap, but he has gone P2 then, a further 10th behind the current provisional pole time. So we see Gavlar diving into the pits then. Who else we got? As Super Steak crosses the line and only manages P13 then for the moment. See on board with Tristan as he's about to start his lap. Sporting a red helmet there in memory of Nicky Lauda. Coming down into turn 1. Up through the hill we go towards turn 4. Look out for some opportunistic moves into this braking zone. Bit of wide tarmac means you can fit 2 cars in there, but if you get that braking wrong, that 2 cars will not work. As it's purple then for Tristan in that first sector. Coming down towards a tight turn 8. Keeping nice and tight to that right corner, then open the car out on the left hand side. As you drive down towards turn 10 through 9, then we go. See DRS will pop open shortly, nice and quickly on the power, shifting up through the gears. Reaching speeds there for 190 miles an hour as you brake into turn 11. Back up the hill then through 13 and so through 12 into 13, shifting down. Third gear, the choice for Tristan, opening the power then as you come up onto the penultimate straight of the lap. Coming down then towards turns 14 and 15. Staying nice and wide on your exit and putting that power down. Allow a little bit of rev on the engine as you put your foot down. Tristan goes P3 then with a 1:28.7. Just 300ths faster than AJ. In that Williams, we see yellow flags in sector 1. Oh, Ferrari rides a lot of the curb on the exit of that pit lane. Monopono there in just behind the Maverick. So as I said, it's real DC then goes P3 in the Renault. Another mid 128 time. Apologies for not riding on board with certain drivers. It is hard to know who to go for. There's only one driver yet to set time, and that is MWS there in the Red Bull. You can see currently coming down the back straight as he comes towards the braking zone for turn 11. Shift that car nice and right, nice and left through the turn, up through the hill. Stay away from that curb, you will be fine. Down through turn 13. Back on the power then into this back straight. The time currently needed by MWS is 1 minute 30 or above. What will it be? It opens DRS then, he crosses the line. It's a 1 minute 30, 1.9. So not good enough to take him into Q2 then. At risk currently Mono, Super Steve and the driver currently on board with MWS. Toonfan looking precariously on the edge in P15. Nathan in P14. The Maverick just a few hundredths up the road in P13. Very close then, as we will be losing 3 drivers. Very wide there from Maverick on the exit of turn 1, and you can see that has mucked up his line, and he goes around then on turn 2. Will the tyres have enough life for another lap, or will he be boxing? We'll jump back on board with his teammate Mono then, currently sitting in P16. Go towards turn 4. A little bit of a lock up there on your right front, opening the car up nice and wide on the exit, up through the tight and twisty 5, 6 and 7. Shifting down for the tight turn 8. Back on the power then as he approaches 9 and 10. Very slow entry into the car, but it allows you to put the power on very quickly, shifting it up through the gears then. Trying to reach speeds of 180 there. You can see 190 as we approach the break. So 50 meter board. Shifting the car left, opening the car up on the right hand side, up through the hill as Tristan retires from the session then. That's in the pit lane, so he has, believing he has got a quick enough time. We're riding on board with Mono Pono 86 in a Ferrari then, as he looks to improve his time of a 1 minute 30.3. Coming around the final 2 corners then. You can see that little kink on the right hand side, that is turn 15. Opening DRS as we cross the line, and he's a 10th up on his previous time, so he stays in P16 as we reach the last 5 minutes of this session. Devil's Nightmare currently in P12, going out again then. As we see a few drivers there believing it, that they have got a quick enough time to make it into sector 2. Looking up and down the grid then, currently the time to beat to stay in at 4Q2 is a 1:29.7 set by Toonfan. Will we see him in these last 4.5 minutes? Nathan just a further 2/10 ahead. Maverick even closer at just 400ths of a second. Devil's Nightmare a further 1,000th. We're riding very wide there from the McLaren driver, and as you can see, not unexpectedly invalidating on that time. Who will make the cut for thing? Toonfan still in the pit lane. Is he going to risk a fresh set of softs, or will he use those ones from his original qualifying lap? It remains to be seen. Nathan then back out on track. He's 3/10 up on his previous time. Coming out of turn 8 then in towards this nice tight left of 9. Shifting down to turn 10. Keep the car straight as you're back on the power. Coming up towards turn 11 then we go. On board with Nathan JB in the Alfa Romeo. Oh, there's 2 Red Bulls. There's a Red Bull spinning there. Nathan has to take drastic action as he goes purple in sector 2. Track is very hard on your tyres, but it also allows for high levels of track evolution. We will see the times start to tumble, I can imagine, as this session goes on. What time will it be from Nathan? Currently in P14. He goes up to P2. I said he was quick. He was 3/10 up. He's gone even faster than before, and is P2 should see him through to the next session. That looks like it's Toonfan in the Haas coming out for his flying lap. There you are. Another driver sporting a red helmet then this week is Nathan pulls to the side. We're riding on board with Toonfan. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in this session. Toonfan, the only one of the drivers currently at risk on a flyer. Apex in P12 though, can you say he's out of the running? We don't know. He is just 8/10 up on Mono, who is currently occupying that first elimination spot in P16. Two Red Bulls occupy 17 and 18. The other two elimination spots, as we see a Renault pulling very wide there in the background. That is Kieran. Who else is out? Reina looks like he's come out again for another lap. The McLaren of LH in the pit lane means that is Devil's Nightmare out on his lap. A Ferrari coming out of the pits, which is a Maverick. Red Bull again, who is that going to be? That is Super Steve. So this is the crunch time of this session. We are riding on board with the Toon as we come up towards turn 1. Time he needs to beat his own, but he is just 2/10 off those drivers in front of him. What sort of improvement will he have this lap? We shall see as we stay on board then up through the turn 3 out to turn 4. So nice tight line there through the corner, opening up the car on the exit. Shifting your car left, right, and then left again through this chicane of 5, 6, and 7. Down in towards the tight braking zone of turn 8. Nice and tight on the apex, you can see there. Come up, down towards 9 and 10. Game currently glitching, unfortunately, means I can't see what time this is. As we got a car there in the wall, we'll quickly jump on board to see who that is. It was Kieran, so Kieran has gone wide in that turn out of 7. I did say the banking would cause you trouble. There is a spinner, that is Stead as well, who has lost his front wing, so he probably won't be able to improve. We'll jump back on board with Toon then. Oh, and he's slowing down, apologies. Looks like he was not on an outlap. So just 5 seconds to go then in this session. Is Toon going to be able to get around? I don't think so. So Mono and MWS are eliminated then. They have not made the cut. They will be out of this session. 1 space left. Will it be Stay or will it be Toon? We're on board then with the Red Bull driver as he comes through 5, 6 and 7. 10th down on his previous best. He needs a 1:29.761 or better to knock Toon out of this session. Coming up through to turn 9. Coming out through the second DRS zone then. Up towards sector 2. Timestamp, what will that be? We shall see in about 10 seconds time or less. Here we go then. Is he up? He's down by just 800ths of a second. He needs a big fast final sector then. Put that car around the track as fast as you can, Steve. Coming in through 14 and 15 now then. Remember, time at 1:29.7 as Maverick goes up to P5. Good lap from him. He was safe anyway, but that'll be a big competition, and it's not good enough, unfortunately, for Steve. It's 400ths of a second slower, and he will lock out the back row with his teammates then. So the 3 drivers we will be losing are Mono, Super Steve, and MWS. The fastest time of that session then going to your championship winner, Reina. Nathan with that brilliant lap to go, P2. So that's Steve in 17th place. That will be unlucky, but remember, anything can happen in the race. See there, Regan and Dan 3 and 4. Maverick, Tristan, AJ, LH, Apex and Stead round out the top 10. And as you can see there, the 3 drivers. So Toon was safe. Still, unfortunately, didn't manage to get around and set a lap time on that final stint, but he will be sweating no longer. Well, for Q1 at least, as we lose 5 drivers in Q2. Then 12-minute session. Set your strategy for the race. It'll be interesting to see here. Like I said, tyre degradation is big around here. Softs usually lasting about 4 or 5 laps before you need to consider a swap. Mediums about 10 to 13, I'd suggest, and then the hards going about 18 or 19. If it was me racing, I'd personally look to go for the medium hard strategy then. So coming in, I think it's a 29 lap race. It's about lap 14 or 15, sticking on those fresh hards, seeing yourself through to the end. But as we've seen many times here at RRC, safety cars can cause havoc. So if we see one of them today, then strategy almost goes out of the window. As we see, a McLaren there will be the first car out in this Q2 session, just ahead of a Williams and an Alfa Romeo, it looks like. Oh no, 2 racing points then. So it is Jacob then in the Williams that is out behind LH. Regan is the leading racing point. Or is that Gavlar? No, Gavlar is the second one. So 4 cars out on track already for this 15-minute session. You can see there on Gavlar the medium tyres. What has everyone else gone for? LH opting for the hards then. Apex on hards. AJ on the yellow walled tyres. Regan yellow mediums. Devil's Nightmare opting for the mediums as well. What's Toon coming out on? Toon is coming out on a set of subs. So an interesting choice there from Toon. Possibly sacrificing the initial start of his race then for a alternate strategy. As I said, those red walls don't get you very far around this track before you have to consider pitting. So it'll be interesting to see. We've got 3 sets of tyres on the track, though, both the medium and hards as expected, and also the softs then on the Haas of Toon Fan. So we'll jump on board with the Williams of Jacob then on those yellow walled mediums, as he will be the first driver to cross the line and start a lap here for Q2 of the Bahrain Grand Prix, round 15 of WNR Silver Edition. Here we go then. It'd help if I had the timing screens up, I do apologise. What sort of time will this be as we come in towards turn 1? Look out for a fast sector 1 time from Devil's Nightmare, Regan and Gavlar. That toe, very, very crucial here in Bahrain. The long straight in that slipstream gives you an extra couple of horsepower down those straights. As Jacob comes up towards turns 5, 6 and 7. 28.6 for him. What about the drivers behind? Can we get on board with them? 28 for LH. Gavlar, 28.8. What about Regan? Are we going to be able to catch it? No, we aren't able to catch that one. But it's very close then. About a 2-second gap so far between the 2 tyre compounds as the DRS opens for the Williams driver coming in towards turn 11. Braking at the 50-metre board as you dive left around that turn. A lot of curve there from Jacob as he comes up through turn 12. Staying not too close to that means for a wider exit as you come close to the apex. And oh, very wide there from him on the exit of turn 13. As we come down the back straight now towards the final 2 corners and on to the back straight. You stick the power down, open that DRS as quickly as you can. What sort of time is this from Jacob? It is a 1:29.3. Regan already into the 1:28 then on those medium tyres. LH with a 1:30 on the hardest, so already you can see there is about 8 or 9/10 difference between the 2 compounds. Will LH make a gamble for the mediums, or will he stay on those harder tyres? Apex 1:31, the disparity starting to show. Look out for Toon Fan on those softs then. Goes purple in sector 2, but he's very wide on the exit of turn 13. That'll cost him a tenth or two. As you look to get a car back straight and on track. Down through the final turn we go then. Look out, what will this time be from Toon Fan? As he only goes P2 then at 1:29.1 on the softer compound. I said that going wide at turn 13 would cost him, and it did. If you see an Alfa Romeo coming out, then that is Nathan on the medium. Very good lap though from LH on the hard tyres, sitting in and amongst those medium runners. Puppy behind him on a 1:30.463, just 200ths behind. So we see a McLaren pulling aside in sector 2. As we go on board then with the real DC as he starts his lap, opting for the yellow tyres. Renault looking lovely as always under the lights here at Bahrain. Very contrary to when they used to have a midday race here. I personally prefer it as it is now. As it goes purple in at sector 1 there, 28.4 from the Renault driver. Coming around turn 8 now up towards the double left of 9 and 10. Puppy moves up to 4th place then. Stead goes second on those medium, a 1:29.1 then. Puppy moving up to 5th as I was saying. Gavlar is 6th. Apex still out on those hards in at 7th. We're riding on board with the real DC, yet to set a lap time in the session, but a purple sector 1. Comes around, he's a purple sector 2 as well. Those medium tyres really starting to kick in now through this track evolution. Coming up to the final corner now. Back on the power then for Dan as he comes through DRS zone number 3, and he goes fastest then, a 1:28.921, just 700ths faster than Regan. Very close. Will we see them again? It remains to be seen. Currently your top 10 separated by 1.5 seconds. Devil's Nightmare just 4/10 behind his teammate in the precarious P10. Will we see him make a dive for the softer? Tristan comes out for his lap then. So does Kieran and Nathan. Coming down on board with Tristan as we go into turn 8. Shifting down through turn 10 on board with the Mercedes driver then. Nathan looks across the line and he goes fastest. A 1:28 then from Nathan, 1:28.7. Looks like the cars are getting faster. Remember, all cars are equal performance, so it's all about driver ability when it comes to fastest lap times. We're on board with Tristan, one of 3 drivers yet to set a lap time. He comes down into the final corner. What time will this be from Tristan? Say 1:29.6, so that puts him into P7 then. As we see Jacob potentially coming out on that softer compound. Who is that? That's invalidated. That is no one at the moment in time. A little bit more quiet than it was at the start of the session. You can see majority of the drivers in the pits. So there we are. You can see next to Jacob's name and those softer compound tyres the out lap sign. So he also seems to be going for the alternate strategy then. Devil's Nightmare also on that alternate strategy. We are riding on board with him now on his out lap. Renault just in front of him. Is that Kieran on a flyer? It looks like it is, but he is unfortunately invalidated. So he will need to go again with just 6 minutes left of this session. Rayner coming out for his first laps of the session. You can see him there trying to get a bit of heat into those tyres. A few cars in his way then on the back straight, but they might give him a bit of a tow through the first straight then. As we come into his flying lap then. Current time needed in P10, a 1:30.2 or better. Ryan on board with your championship winner for this year, Rainer in the Williams. Getting both of themselves into Q2 will be good for their Constructors' Championships hope. Remember, if they can outscore Mercedes by 37 points across the two divisions of WNR, they will be crowned Constructors' Champions. As it's purple there from Rainer in Sector 1. Shifting down in towards turn 8 we go, opening the car on the exit up through the gears. A lot of drivers like to keep it in 6th gear, but Rainer opting for 7th as you downshift into 2nd for the left-hander of turn 10. Opening the DRS, you can see in the distance there his teammate Jacob in the other Williams on the softer compound tyres. He currently is sitting at P7 with a 1:29.3. Rainer yet to set a lap time. He's come up through the hill at turn 12. So Devil's Nightmare slowing down as it's purple sector 2 for Rainer then. Watch out for these next two times you will see across the left hand side of that timing screen. Where will the Williams put themselves in this Q2 session? As Rainer crosses the line, he goes up to P2, so he is there, and Jacob takes that spot back off him. A 1:28.735 and a 1:28.911 puts them 2 and 3. Will that be enough to get them through to Q3? We shall see. Look out for Rainer. He'll probably stay out and go for another lap after. Nathan then in P1 provisionally for this session, just a 200th of a second faster than Jacob on the softer compound tyres. The real DC is 4th. It's been a brilliant championship battle between a few of these drivers over this season. Remember, it was just 10 drivers to begin with, 1 per constructor, but we are now, oh, it's very wide from Rainer there as we come out of turn 5, getting out of the way of a few drivers there. But as I was saying, for this week's race we are trialling our season 2 scenarios of 20 drivers in this division. We've had some brilliant races with 10 drivers. Hopefully even more excitement than today, as Nathan believes he has done enough to see himself into Q3. Optimum strategy then for him if he does get through those medium to hard, potentially a medium soft if the race scenario is the same. So Jacob then, you can see there, has the red wall tyre of the soft compound fitted to his Williams. Currently sitting in P2. 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go in this session. Stead and Toon out on outlaps. Toon then going for a medium compound time, seeing if he can get a little bit of an improvement on that 1:29.1 from his softs run earlier on in this session. As we're down to the last 1 minute and 52 seconds, a few drivers exchanging places then through the midfield. Currently in the danger zone, Devil's Nightmare, the Maverick, Puppy, Apex and Kirano. As Tristan retires from the session then. Doesn't believe he has enough time to get around this circuit and set another lap. You can see the current top 10 all on medium compound tyres. This is Toon Fan. If he cannot improve on this lap, he will be starting on the softs should he make it into Q3. As LH retires from the session, and so does Kieran then. It looks like Kieran has hit the wall at turn 7, and he looks from the minimap like he has crashed and will not take part in any more sessions. Obviously P15 does not guarantee you entry anyway, so we have our first elimination of this session. The Renault of Kieran going wide at turn 7. We're on board with Apex, currently a 1:30.2 set on the harder compound of tyres. He's out now on the yellow walled mediums. Coming through turn 10 now. On to the back straight we go. On board with the Toro Rosso. As we come up towards the hill. Oh, it's very wide on the exit there from Apex. He'll lose a bit of time. Not what he needs at this moment. Puppy then pits from his lap as Apex invalidates. And unfortunately looks like he will be out of this session then. Put himself a little bit wide coming on the entry to the hill. And unfortunately it looks to have cost him through turns 12 and 13. And he will not make it into Q3. What about the Maverick and Devils? Will they be able to do enough? No, the Maverick pits. He will not be taken by. What about Devils? Devils has invalidated as well. So there we have it. The 5 drivers to go will be Devil's Nightmare, the Maverick, Puppy, Apex and Kieran then. Just one driver in the top 10 opting for the softer compound tyres for their race start. Look for them, Jacob, to be quick off the line, but he will have to pit earlier than those drivers around him. Rayner rounds out the top 3. The real DC is 4th and Regan sits in P5 then. As we come up towards the all-important pole position shootout. Very unfortunate for Devils there as he invalidated on that last lap. But I don't think the fuel would have got him around anyway. So there you have the 10 drivers that will be fighting for pole position here in Sakhir. Nathan, Jacob, Rayner, the real DC, Regan, Stead, Toonfan, Tristan, LH and Gavlar. Toon and Jacob going for the alternate strategy then, starting on those softer compounds. Just 12 minutes between us knowing who will start from the front row of this Grand Prix then for round 15 of WNR. Look out for all 10 drivers then. So as you can see, just 12 minutes to go then. Look for about 2 runs from every driver at least. A lot of those drivers only using 1 set of softs so far, means they should have 3 available to them should they need them. Very unlikely that we'll have rain here in the session, so this will be a good indication as to where you can expect to start. Oh, you can see a driver on the medium tyres then. One of Stead and Tristan on those medium compound tyres. It's Tristan. So perhaps he's gone for the harder choice of tyres. As we're hearing reports that Apex was caught in a little misunderstanding in that Q2 session. So, interesting choice from Tristan then going on those medium compound tyres. I'd expect him for his first stint at least to be at the back of this pack as Apex leaves the session then. So I was just talking about him and he has decided to leave the session. I'm not sure whether that is a connectivity issue or not. We shall see. On board with Arena then, who, as I've mentioned many a time, won the championship last weekend. Regan, look out for him as he goes to set the first time of this session. Coming up through the hill then at turn 12. Where will he be come 10 minutes time? We'll stay on board with the Racing Point driver for this lap then. ...205 miles an hour as he hits the braking zone for turn 1. Keeping nice and tight on the inside of the apex. Allows you to open your car out through 2 and 3. Drift left up towards turn 4. Taking a lot of the left curb as you come down to the apex of turn 4. Up the hill through 5, 6 and 7. Staying nice and tight. So let's go. Oh, a little kick out from the back end of Regan's car then as we come down through the tight turn 8 up towards the slow 9-10 combination then. All drivers apart from Toon and Gavlar on track. As Tristan pits then. So Tristan has pitted. Remember, he came out on those medium compound tyres. Everyone else has opted for the softer compound. So here we go then, Regan about to set the first time of this session. What is the benchmark? We're seeing 128s in the last session on those mediums. What about the softs? There you go, 128.0 already then. We can expect that time to tumble as the session goes on. Here comes Jacob then through the final DRS zone. It's only a 128.8. He will need to improve that. Stead coming around the final turn now. Shifting up through the gears. DRS opens then and he crosses the line. It's a 128.2. Only good enough for P2. Rayner, your championship winner, comes across the line. There you go. A 128.038. Just 400 separate him and Regan, currently in P2. The Renault of the Real DC comes across the line. Here goes P3. 128.2 then. We've had half this session and only 5 drivers have set times. Who's next? Next across the line will be the McLaren of LH44 as he starts his lap. Gavlar not far behind, getting a little bit of a tow from the McLaren driver then. Tristan coming back out on the softer tyres for his first run in this session. Jump on board with Nathan as he comes through the back straights up towards turn 15 and turns 14 and 15 then. Nice clean entry and exit, allows him to put the pedal to the floor as we look to come across the line. It is a 128.4. He goes P5 then. So just 8/10 separate first from 6th. As Toonfan remains in the pit lane then. Only 4 drivers have not set a time. Tristan back out on the softs. LH on his flying up now along with Gavlar just behind. Toonfan, as I mentioned, still in the pit. 6 minutes and 44 seconds left. We come up through the hill now through turn 13 on board with LH44 as he goes purple in sector 2. Track evolution already showing then as these lap times look to get, as these sector times look to get faster and faster. The Williams of Rayner pulls to the side. What time will this be from LH and Gavlar just behind him? We shall see. LH only manages P7. Tristan starts to tow. Gavlar goes into P7 then. 28.8. Just 2 drivers remain. When will we see Toon emerge from that Haas garage? It remains to be seen. So we'll stay on board with Tristan as he comes up through sector 1. Into the right-hander at turn 4. It's a 28.4 from the Mercedes driver, purple in that sector. Coming down now to turns 9 and 10. Time to beat is Rayner, 128.038. Coming up through turns 12 and 13 now on board with Tristan in the Mercedes. Short shifting up to fourth then on the exit of turn 13. Come down the back straight now towards the final corner. What time will this be? 25, 26, 27. It is a 1:28.7. Puts him into P6. Gavlar 1:28.734. He overtakes Tristan then for P6. Will they both have enough time for another lap? We shall see. All the other drivers still in the pits. They include Toon, who is yet to set a lap time then. As we approach the last 4 minutes, Rayner currently sits on pole with a 1:28.038. Just 400ths back is Regan, 1:28.077. The real DC rounds out the top three, a 1:28.2, further 2/10 back. Can he find those 2/10 in a final run? We shall see. Stead doing very well up there in P4. Nathan topped the timesheets in Q2, is P5, just 4/10 off your front row. Gavlar 1:28.7 in a P6. Tristan 1:28.794 in a P7. Jacob and LH 1:28.8 and 9 respectively, and Toonfan in a P10 are yet to set a lap time. Remember, Jacob and Toonfan will be starting on the soft duck compound tyres. What an interesting few laps it has been. You can already see the field quite shut out as drivers now reduce their speed by up to 60% under the VSC, while that Red Bull is cleared from the track. Nathan's gap to Rayner 1.3 seconds. Regan a further 0.6 back. But obviously they change ever slightly in these VSC conditions. Maverick and Kieran in the pits again for the second time this race. Toonfan given a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's currently P5. Excuse me. Apologies. He's currently P5. Oh, what are Regan and Rayner doing there? As the VSC is out. And we are back to racing stashes. The real DC has a brilliant restart there. He's up to just 0.4 behind Regan. Look out for the double toe for the Renault drive. We'll jump on board with him then in this battle for P3. He makes a late dive down the inside. Oh, he's just a little bit too late. Contact is made. Has he got all his wing intact? He looks like he has. Escape there for Dan in that Renault. Regan and Rayner still battling for P2. The gap now 1.5 at the front of this Grand Prix. They are pulling away now from Toon in P5. 1.8 behind the Renault. On those softer compounds, remember, he will need to pit and get those changed as soon as he can. 4 laps old in this race and the qualifying lap. As Jacob then pitted for a new set of softs, looking to possibly do a double soft to hard strategy. Keep an eye on him in this race. See the DRS opening there for Regan, just a little bit too far back once again. As we see the Alfa Romeo is about to come into the first bit of traffic for this Grand Prix. The gap up around the 1.5 second mark as we see yellow flags. Is that Toonfan? That is Toonfan. Toonfan has spun and he has lost pipe. Oh, watch out if you're in the house behind. Oh, very, very unfortunate. Gunther Steiner would not have been pleased there. Puppy up into P8. Toonfan minus a front wing of sorts. He will be in. Will he go for the hards or mediums, or it remains to be seen. You can see just how much downforce is crucial from that last turn. Monopono will move up into the 9th position then. Devils will be up to 10th. So Toonfan is in for his first stop of this race. Back at the front of the grid. It's down to 1.2 at the front now. Rayner being chased by Regan. AJ Wuhan sets the fastest lap. Jacob going fast on those soft, fresh tyres then. The gap to P4 now out to 2.5. Beautiful camera angle there as they slide through the left-right combination here into turn 8. Oh, there's a Renault! Oh, we've lost a Renault into the wall. It looks like it's Kieran. He's only a back marker, but he got in the way there and he finds himself in the wall. That will be a safety car then. The first safety car of this Grand Prix. I said strategy can go to pot when something happens, and that something is Kieran hitting the wall coming out of turn 8, and the safety car is out. All of Nathan's hard work then undone from that opening stint. Lap 6 of 29. We've already had 2 VSCs and a safety car now. Kieran given another 3 and 5 second penalty. There's a racing point there. Oh, is that the safety car in sector 1? My apologies. So, do any of the leaders take the dive into the pit lane for a potential strategy change? I'd be thinking, would I want a hard to softs now for the end of the race? It would be doable. Remember, about 18 laps, as you see there. Nathan dives into the pit lane then. I'd be thinking, as I said, hard to soft. 18 laps if you can on those harder compound. We'll stay on board with your race leader then as he goes into the pit lane. It is the hard for him, but Rayner opts for a different strategy. He's going on the softs then. Regan hards, LH hards. Tristan is given a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. That will not do his race any good after first lap contact. He is down in P12. AJ Wuhan given a 5-second penalty. Not a good start to this race for Jacob then. He fits the medium. No. Yep, he fits the harder compound tyres. game glitching out a little bit there, makes it hard for me to know what's going on. So Gavlar into the lead of this race, then Puppy up to P2, but provisionally it will be Nathan in at first, as they have not stopped the front two. Remember, in dry conditions you have to use at least 2 of the different soft tyre compounds, whether they are soft, medium or hard, it is up to you. So Tristan is in for his drive-through penalty, then he will join back out in P15. Lap 7 of 29. Gavlar currently leading ahead of Puppy. Puppy up 11 places then. Remember, them two have not pitted yet, so Nathan and Reina will be net 1 and 2 when this race restarts. Look out for Reina on those softer tyres then. He will be looking to go medium, soft, hard, I can imagine, or medium, soft, medium would be better. Up to him what him and Jeff have decided to go on. Will we have another lap of the safety car, or will it go around again? You can see a few cars there on the minimap still waiting to catch this snake. Apex staying on the harder tyres in at P10. Toon fitting another set of softs after that spin at turn 12 is P11. Not so good start for those 2 soft compound runners in the top 10. Down from 4th and 8th to 11th and 13th then, as we go for a second lap behind this safety car. Your top 5 before their pit stops were Nathan, Reina, Regan, Dan and LH. They remain in the provisional top 5 then. But can the real DC jump Regan on those medium compound tyres? Safety car thrown strategies originally to the wind. Who will come on top? You want to keep those tyres nice and warm, just like on the formation lap. As we just wait for the Ferrari of the Maverick to catch up to the pack, and we can look at getting started once again. Codemaster's logic is a bit fragile in these situations, but I would imagine this will be the last lap behind the safety car then, as we come around turn 10. As we look at the fastest lap of the race, currently set by Jacob in the 1:32.1. Remember, he's finishing the top 10 for that extra point, but I'd imagine it will get even faster as the race goes on. As we come down to lap 8. Here we go, you can just see on the mini-map there the Ferrari about to pull in the difference. What will the safety car do? What will Gavlar do? Looks like the safety car will be out for another lap then. No, safety car is in this lap. So the Ferrari's got the backpack and Gavlar is away, and now look out for Puppy behind. Kieran giving another 3-second penalty. Will Puppy make a move down the inside? Yes, he does. Did he make it stickers? Oh no, Puppy's given a 3-second time penalty as he takes too much of the corner of turn 1. Nathan right behind these two then on those fresher, harder tyres. Can he make a move stick? So see, they're going 2 abreast up into turn 4. As Reina dives down the inside of Nathan and takes P3 in this Grand Prix then. Very tight between those 2 drivers. Reina around the outside of turn 7. And he's through into turn 8 then. He takes P3 and provisional first. Considering that Puppy and Gavlar LH has jumped Regan McKinnon then up to P6. Dan has taken LH2. He is up to P4. Kieran given another 3-second time penalty. He is struggling down there in P17. We come down into back. Remember, DRS not open for another 2 laps since the safety car. Rayner dives down the inside of Puppy through turn 11. He is up into P2. He needs to get as far away from Nathan as he can on those stops. Remember, he does need to stop again. Oh, Nathan spun it! Nathan spun it! Regan's hit him! Regan's out! Regan's hit Nathan! No, there's a big shot! We have lost Apex, we have lost Regan, and Nathan is spinning backwards. Dive down and the safety car is out. Oh, what a catastrophe that there. Get past Puppy up into P2. Lost it, and he was just a passenger as Regan and Apex both collided with his Alfa Romeo, and the safety car, as soon as it was in, it's back out again. As we see a few cars diving, Gavlar and Puppy diving into pit lane. Rayner takes the lead of this race. The real DC is up to P2. You can't help but feel for Apex and Regan there. And they are out of this race then. 15 cars remain as we hit lap 10 of the Grand Prix. As Nathan is into the pits then for those softer tyres. Tune and Stay are in. Puppy has come out. What tyres has he gone for? He's gone for those harder white walled tyres. Coming out in P10 then. So lap 10 of this Grand Prix. Rayner leads from the real DC. LH is third and Mono is fourth. Devil's Nightmare is given a 5-second penalty for hitting Tristan under the safety car. You can see there he's lost his front wing end plate. He will be Jacob up to 6th then after 2 stops already in this Grand Prix. Stead going well in P5. Mono up to 4th. Remember, Nathan has collided with Apex and Regan. He sees him in P13. And Apex and Regan are out of this race, hence why we have the safety car. I told you if you take too much of that curve at turn 12, you will be spun, and that is what happened here, unfortunately. Just over a third of this Grand Prix gone then. We are behind the safety car following the retirements of Apex and Regan. As we are on board with Devil's Nightmare with that wing damage, then coming back through the grid. Will the safety car be in this lap, or will it pull out again? We will be going for another lap then. So those pitting for fresh tyres will luckily have an extra lap in them, as Devil's Nightmare, as I said, pits to replace that front wing. Kieran is also in then. What is his 4th stop and a 3rd front wing, serving his 5-second penalty as well then. So you can see a lot there of the line of cars. Rayner leads from the real DC and LH. Remember, we said at the start of this race, if Williams could outscore Mercedes by 37 points across both divisions, they will be Constructors' Champions within the next 2 rounds. They are currently P1 and 6 in this race. It's not just down to silver though, in gold as well. WNR has 2 tiers, and both tiers contribute to the same Constructors' Championship. Slight change to this race was that we have gone up to what was meant to be 20 runners. It's 18 today, unfortunately, but going into season 2 of RRC, we will be running a full grid across both divisions. I think 2 races across the night, both 25% in distance, with a one shot quali and a short qualifying session preceding the races. As we see LH up into P3, then safety car coming in this lap. Look out for Rayner on the restart on those softer compound tyres. LH hits back of Monopono. Looks like he might lose a bit of his front wing. No, he is fine. So you see there Rayner trying to get the heat back into those soft tyres. The real DC just behind him will have a magnificent tow down this first straight when it does get going, but Rayner on those softer compound tyres pulls away as you'd expect. The gap already a second as they cross the line. Watch for LH and Mono in the background. Mono missing the front wing end plate from that collision behind the safety car. Will he make a move into turn 1? He dives late. Oh, and he locks up and goes very deep. That allows for Stead to go down the inside, which allows for outside of turn 3, sorry. He is through. Jacob is also up into P5 then, as he dives down the inside of Stead up into turn 4. Little bit of room there, allows for no contact. Gavlar past the Maverick then up into P8, but the Maverick makes a move down the inside through turn 5. He regains P8. So you can see the Williams of Jacob a little bit wide through turn 7. Remember, no DRS for 2 laps because we've had another safety car. Puppy past Devil's Nightmare up into P13. The Maverick making a move on his teammate there. The Ferrari really with that wing. Make a move into the turn 10. Super steep behind him. Makes a move down the inside as they come through. Oh, it's very wide from Gavlar there. Just misjudges the braking zone. He drops down now behind Nathan and Toonfan. Who's that Ferrari going? It looks like Mono really struggling, and as I said, with that front wing damage. Cutting the corner to avoid all the cars. He will drop down the positions as they come. Turn 12. Will Nathan make a move on a Super Steve? Just a little bit too far back then. Toonfan, Rayner sets the fast lap of the race, a 1:31.2. Who's that diving into the pit lane? That is Tristan into the pit lane then for a change of tyres. Did he have front wing damage? I do not know. So down the inside of, they're looking at puck goes wide into turn 1, past the then through turn 3. They come up towards turn 4. The lead now 1.6 seconds for Rayner ahead of the real DC LH. A further second and a half back in the McLaren. Stead is P4. All over the back of him is a Jacob, just 5 tenths behind. Watch for him down this back straight to toe. Then his tyres harder compound, but they will go longer into the race. Stead will probably have to pit again. You can see the gap now 2 seconds at the front of this Grand Prix. Rayner really pulling away from the Renault of Dan. Nathan after spinning up to P6 already then from the safety car restart. He is on those softer compound, remember, as Kieran's given a blue flag penalty of 5 seconds. There's a turn up for the books with a penalty. Stead is through on the inside of LH. So Stead is up to P3 then. DRS enabled then for the first time since the safety car. Remember, it doesn't count this lap once they cross the line. So Jacob, unfortunately, just a little bit too far back to utilise that tow. How close will he be through this DRS zone then? The first one of the lap. You can see Stead at risk of a double manoeuvre here. LH all over his gearbox. The gap just a tenth. LH dives down the outside, then around into turn 4, a little bit wide on the exit, but he's got the move done. He moves up on to that final podium place. Jacob now all over the gearbox of Stead. Look out for Nathan. The gap currently 2.2, 2 tenths for a few corners he's gained there. Already all over the back of this battle then. The top 2 starting to pull away, 2.5 seconds. The gap between Arena and Dan. A further 2.2 between Dan and LH. We'll stay on board then. This is the battle for P3. LH leads Stead by half a second. Jacob is a further half second back. Nathan already cut down 6 tenths there as we got a Mercedes Is that Tristan? Tristan has spun. So Tristan, after pitting for fresh set of mediums, has spun at turn 7. What about LH? Has he maintained his position in front of Stead? Yes, he has. As they come around, look at that. Jacob is all over the back of Stead then. We'll stay on board with the Williams driver through turns 14 and 15. Wants a good exit here. Remember, Stead will have DRS on LH too. How close is Stead? He doesn't seem to be gaining on the Williams driver. Sorry, he doesn't seem to be gaining on the McLaren driver. A little bit too far back, but approaching turns 3, they will look to make a move if they are close enough. Stee up to P7 past Maverick. Exchange places through. You can see in the background there. We'll jump on board with that battle. Who is out on top? It is Stee ahead of the Maverick, who has spun. The Maverick has spun. He is around in sector 1. Oh, and he has to take diving action there. Does the Renault. So they were very close with Super Stee, and he has gone around. And he finds himself down in P13 then. 6 places lost. We're back on board with this battle for P3. Just a second separates him from Nathan, who has managed to catch up on those softer compound tyres. You can see the difference in speed with the gain traction. He dives down the inside through turn 11, up through the hill at 12. This is where he span earlier in the race, remember. Took out Apex and Regan by a little bit of misfortune, but they come through turn 13 now. All the time he's stuck behind Nathan. Jacob will be losing time to LH and Stead, as Stead looks to make a move down the inside of LH. Those medium compound tyres working wonders, and Nathan also dives down the inside. He is through on the McLaren driver. Little bit of elbow pushing there. Who will have the DRS? As they come down towards turn 1, they're going for abreast almost through this first straight. Who makes the move? It's LH down the inside of Stead, and Jacob round the outside. He'll have the traction for turn 3, but Stead pulls back out again. They almost touch. Nathan gaining 3 places then from that battle. He is up to 3-3 and will start to chase down the Renault of Dan. You can see LH, Stead and Jacob there, all on harder compounds than Nathan. Jacob getting stuck behind Stead then. Very good battle in there through turn 1. Lovely camera angle of them 3 abreast with the McLaren just behind. Coming down now through turns 9 and 10. This is the battle for P3. Remember, Nathan on those softer compound tyres, LH and Jacob on the hard with Stead on the medium. So 3 different strategies at play then. Who will come out on top come the end of this race? It's lap 16 of 29 here in Sakhir. We've lost Apex, Regan and MWS in this race so far. As Toonfan makes a move on Gavlar into turn 11. Coming up through the hill now. Can he make the move stick? Yes, he can. Almost. No, Gavlar's around the outside. Oh! And the Haas takes a lot of that curb and it pushes the McLaren wide, and they've touched. And Devil's Nightmare is in the wall. And we've lost Devil's Nightmare then. DSG Toonfan all out of shape through turn 12. Touched the McLaren, and the McLaren finds himself in the walls. Mono goes wide as well. Finds himself in a spin, and the VSC is out for the 3rd time today. Lap 17 of 29. The lead for Rain at the front of this Grand Prix is 3.2 seconds. Kieran giving another 3-second time pen. So LH and Jacob are in for what I can assume will be a set of medium tyres. There you go, medium for the Williams driver. The McLaren driver also fitting those medium compound tyres. As you can see, the drivers have to reduce their speed, and we are back underway then. DRS re-enabled. We are back up to racing speed. That pit stop has allowed Nathan some fresh air as he chases down the real DC. What can Stead do then? Remember, he is currently P4. Shouldn't need to pit again unless those tyres start to wear off. Drive behind him, Steve, on those softs will not be able to take those to the end of the race. What can the Mercedes driver do then? Rayner already 3 seconds clear, but as I said, needs to pit again from those soft tyres. He will not be able to take those to the end of this Grand Prix. I'll bite my own hand off if he can. Real DC chasing him down then, 2.3 seconds back. Been a thrilling battle between these two all season. But Arena coming out on top then this championship, his to take back to the Williams team factory. As Rayner pits then, I said if he could take him I'd bite my own hand off. Luckily it's safe for now. He pits, but what tyres will he fill? Nathan moves up to P2. It's medium tyres for the Williams driver. A little bit of a glitch in the system there, why does that not surprise me? So Nathan up to P2, but again running those soft tyres will need to pit again. Where does Rayner emerge? He's out in P8, but those fresh tyres will hopefully see him glide through the grid and to the end of this race then. Jacob after pitting is on to P10, making the move down the inside of LH through turn 1, but LH will have the DRS as they come out now up towards the run of turn 4. Stee given a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Toonfan past Stee then up into turn 4. This race has worked well. We're going to abreast into turn 10. Nice switch back there from Toonfan, but will he have the DRS as the Renault runs wide in the background there? And Toonfan is free, but Stee has got the DRS as the battle. Gavlar gets ever closer behind this battle then. Toonfan takes a lot of the curve again and he almost hits another car. Remember, he hit the McLaren of Devil's Nightmare, which saw him retire from this Grand Prix. But Toonfan will possibly lose another position here as Gavlar looks to go round the outside of turn 14. Looking to get in front of that Haas car, then he'll have DRS down this pit straight. But Toonfan also within DRS range of things. Stead then pits for softer tyres. He believes he can take them to the end of this Grand Prix. Will be interesting to see if that pays off. Nathan in for a set of mediums. I did say in qualifying the tyre grid that degradation is very harsh here in Bahrain. The hot humidity and track temperature wears them down as we see Rayner making a move down the inside of Puppies. MWS leaves the session then. We lost him very early on in this race. Rayner up to P5 then, chasing down at this battle for P2. You can see him in the background there. Stee leads Toonfan and Gavlar. The race lead for DC is 17 seconds. What can Toonfan do? Can he get past Stee on this straight? Maybe he has those tyres that will last longer. Pulls left of the Red Bull down towards the braking zone. Oh, and a little bit of a kick out there from the rear through the braking zone of turn 11. But they're going. Rayner goes down the inside then of Gavlar. Oh no! Rayner spins. Rayner spins, and the Haas. Who's that Haas? That's Puppy. Puppy has hit Rayner. He manages to keep it there, so Rayner is given a 5-second penalty. Not at all good for your winner this year there. I did say you take too much of the curb, you will spin. Rayner proved me right. He is down to P7. This has allowed Nathan to be all over his gearbox as they come down towards the first DRS straight. Remember, these have both pitted for fresh tyres. This is a race for position. You can see the massive speed there gained by DRS along with the tow, and Nathan moves up ahead of Rayner. So if you're the real DC, you'll be looking at that with bliss. You were 17 seconds clear of that battle. Toonfan then 18 seconds back now. So will the real DC be able to take those tyres for another 9 laps, or will he have to pit? The degradation looks very high. You can see they have gone very grey. I would expect him to pit within the next lap or 2. Stee needs to pit from 3rd. There is no way those softs will get him to the end of this Grand Prix. That would put Gavlar in 3rd. Puppy up to P5, and 6 is the Maverick. You can see the battle for P7 and 8 is between Rayner and Nathan. They started 1 and 2 on the grid. Nathan spinning and taking out Apex and Regan, pitting for a new front wing and tyres. Rayner spinning at turn 12, the last lap, demoting him from a potential P4 to P8. Very close racing here with just under 9 laps to go. Real DC starts lap 21 of 29. This is the battle for P5. See Nathan all over the back of the Ferrari of the Maverick. Will he get the move done? He looks like he'll be in front. Yes, he is. Oh, and he takes a dive down on Puppy as well. So, lovely opportunistic move there from the Alfa Romeo. Who's that in the pits? That is Toon and Steve in the pits then. They will be on a set of softs, you would imagine. So that promotes Gavlar into P2. He's got, as a Sector 2 yellow flags. Who is that? That is the Ferrari who has got going against Stead. Sets the fastest lap of the race on a fresh set of softs. All action here as we approach the final third of this Grand Prix then. The real DC leads Gavlar by 20 seconds. Nathan is 5 seconds back. He is battling with Puppy, Rayner and the Maverick for that final podium position. Look out for Rayner though on those fresh compound tyres. We come through turn 6 and 7. Will he make a dive down into the braking zone at turn 8 or will he be safe? He does. He dives down the inside and there's contact and Rayner's a little bit out of shape there. Probably wasn't the right thing. Maverick moves up into P5 then through turn 9. Who will have the DRS as they come through this? It's Rayner and the Maverick, but the Maverick is very, very wide on his exit of turn 10. However, with that DRS he is able to pull away from the Williams driver. This has all allowed for Nathan to pull a gap of 1.7 seconds so far. He is hunting down the racing point of Gavlar. The gap 3.9 seconds. Fresher, softer tyres for the Alfa Romeo driver then. So we've come through. The real DC pits then. The race leader is in for a fresh set of softs. What a pit stop that could be. As we see the racing point there, Gavlar takes the lead of this race, but the real DC comes out in a P2. Very well timed pit stop from him. Nathan behind him in P3, but those fresher tyres for the Renault driver. Oh, Kieran swiped very left there on the Alfa Romeo driver. What was he thinking? Puppy up past Stead then. Oh, he pushes a little bit wide, elbows out there from the Mercedes driver. Rayner up to P5. He's hunting down the Maverick for P4. Your race leader is Gavlar, 1.3 seconds ahead of the real DC, but he's on 12 lap old hards. The real DC, fresh, soft. Nathan, not too far behind either. Fresh mediums, 1.6 second the gap between him and Dan. They are pulling away from the Maverick then. 17 lap old tyres, very, very well done. I said they could last about 18 or 19. Looks to be the case for the Maverick. Rayner all over the back of him though as they come up through the hill into turn 12. Stead on those softer tyres, a little bit wide from the Williams on the exit through 13 that they go. Stead and Rayner looking to make a move on this first straight. They already. Rayner out that corner, has the traction, has the speed, and is past the Ferrari. What about Stead? Gaining, a little bit of a side touch there from thing, and Stead up the inner side of Rayner, then into turn 1. As, a little bit of contact with the Maverick and the Williams of Rayner. Stead all out of shape through turn 3, allows Rayner to pull to the outside. He's got no DRS though. Stead able to stay ahead through turn 4. Will Rayner have the traction on the outside? Looks like it's going to abreast into 6 and 7, but the Williams driver manages to force his way through and he is up into P4 and will be hunting the Alfa Romeo of Nathan. The gap 5 seconds then between him and a podium finish here in Bahrain. His teammate Jacob in a P7 then, looking to join back his battle. His car going very, very wide. It was Rayner then. So back under pressure from Stead with DRS wide open. He dives to the left of the Williams up into the braking zone of turn 10 and he makes the move stick. Not quite. Very good exit from Rayner off that corner, allows him to keep the speed as they go through the hill at turn 12. He remains in this battle then, but he is back up to P4. All this time Nathan is pulling away and is now chasing down Gavlar, just 2.5 tenths behind. As you will see, DRS pop open then. DC sets the first lap of the race. Nathan moves up into P2. past Gavlar. Will Gavlar be able to go the last 5 laps on those? Stead up, back past Rayner then through DRS. What about the Ferrari and Williams behind? They stay as they were then, but this battle getting ever... Is that Rayner missing a piece of wing? It is. Rayner is missing a front wing end plate. I don't know what has happened there, but he will be struggling then these last few laps. You've already seen with a couple of drivers what can happen if you lose a little bit of downforce. You can see their Stead much better exit from that corner, but they go 2 abreast through 6 and 7. Again, it's brilliant racing from these two. And Rayner once more, it's almost deja vu as they stay in front, but this time the Ferrari and the Williams of Jacob are closer behind. We have yellow flags in the sector 2. Who's that? That's a Renault there. That's not the real DC. Luckily though, that for him, that is Kieran spinning himself once again at turn 8. Your race leader then 2 seconds clear of Nathan, who's pulled a gap of 1.5 seconds to Gavlar. This is the battle for P4. Rayner leads Stead, the Maverick and Jacob. In the distance there, LH44 ever increasing on this battle at the same time. Watch out for Puppy. Will Puppy be able to catch them as well before the end of this race? Very wide there from Jacob on the exit of turn 13. As he looks to make a move on the Ferrari through this first DRS. You see a much tighter line from the Maverick means he is going defensive, but the overspeed of that Williams allows him to pull to the right, and he has got that move done in the distance. Is that Stead going past Rayner? Yes, it is. So Stead once again back up past the Williams driver. Look for the Maverick in the background as he goes around the outside of the Williams. Has he got the traction to go through turn 3? No, he does not. So the Williams has made it stick. LH is given a 3-second time penalty for cutting that corner there. So you see Rayner remains in front of Stead, but Jacob has managed to jump the Ferrari, and he will look to catch now the battle of Rayner and Stead as we have just 3.5 laps to go. Your race leader there, the real DC, coming through turn 10. Gap of 2.6 seconds to Nathan, and Gavlar a further 2.5 seconds back on those 15 lap hard tyres. Done very well to keep the tyre, but in the distance you can see that battle there for P4. As we'll jump on board now with Rayner. 6 seconds between him and Gavlar, and a step on the podium, but Stead is just behind him, and Jacob looking to break that second barrier and regain DRS for the next lap as they come through the hill at turn 12. Maverick dropping back by just 1/10 every couple of sectors. LH now all over the back of him as they come up through turn 13. This is what RRC is all about. Arriving lap 26 of 29 for these drivers. Here we go then into the DRS zone. LH are looking to close the gap on Maverick, who has been dropped by Jacob, so doesn't have that DRS this lap, but you can clearly see how much the toe works on this racetrack. Or a little bit too late on the brakes there, LH, but he manages to avoid that Ferrari as you come up through turns 2 and 3. DRS will be open once more for the McLaren driver then. Does he make a move down the inside of turn 4? No, he does not. He keeps it. Oh, it's very wide though from the Maverick, and the traction of those mediums should see him past Kieran, giving another 3-second time penalty. As they go through 5 6, the Ferrari side by side with that McLaren coming out of turn 7. Oh no! It's contact! And the Ferrari is wide. The Ferrari has spun, and he finds himself down in P9. Toon Fan up to P9 then as he goes past. Unlucky for the Maverick. They were side by side through 6 and 7, and unfortunately the Maverick was spun. So Toon Fan up to P9, Puppy up to P8. What a good result for the Haas this would be. So LH will be chasing on Jacob, Stead and Rayner now as they come through turn 12. The gap between them just under 1 second now actually between the three drivers. 2/10 between Jacob and Stead, 5/10 between Stead and Rayner. Are those soft tyres starting to wear away for the Mercedes driver? Remember, he pitted on lap 19 to put those soft tyres on. Currently 7 laps old. Usually they only last about 6 before you see a few signs of tyre wear, but they both have DRS now as we come towards turn 1. We'll jump on board with Jacob as we see Stead passes Rayner, as does Rayner go around the outside? Yes, he does, but Stead is through this time. Oh, a little bit wide on the exit there from Rayner. Will that allow Jacob to make the move? No, because Rayner has DRS, so he stays behind his teammate. Stead, though, up to P4. The gap now to Gavlar is just 4 seconds. Only 3 laps remain, though. Who will win? Tristan taking the fast lap, remember, and that's Jacob going really wide on the braking zone 8. Didn't expect that harsher braking from the 2 in front of him. He's lost a few tenths, but shouldn't be too long till he's back on them. They'll have DRS as they come through turn 10 now, up to this nice little straight approaching turn 11. LH there in the distance, 3 seconds back. Is he going to have enough time to catch this little battle and try and push himself up a few places? We shall see. Through turn 11, we're on board with Jacob then, but Stead at the front of this pack's pulled away by Rayner, almost a second the gap now. That'll be crucial if he can keep that through to the DRS zone. Remember, Rayner going wide a little bit out of turn 10. We come down the back straight now. Dan starts lap 28 of 29. He's got a lead of 1.6 seconds to Nathan, who has got a 6-second gap to Gavlar. So unless anything major goes wrong, they should be fine. Here we go then. Is the DRS going to be enough for Rayner to get back past Stead? Not this time. I think those soft tyres have got just enough life in them for the Mercedes driver. The gap separating him and AJ Wuhan in 6th is a second. Coming up through the second DRS zone allows Rayner to close in on Stead and Jacob to close in on thing as Steam moves past the Maverick into the final points position then for this race. This is the closest battle on track, lap 28 of 29 here in what has been a fun race in Sakhir. 2 safety cars, 3 VSCs. Unfortunately we lost Apex and Regan off. They both hit the spinning Alfa Romeo of Nathan. MWS spinning at turn 12. Devil's Nightmare after contact with the Haas of Toonfan into the wall as well at turn 12. So just 14 drivers left as we come up to turn 11. We are on board with the battle for P4. Remember, I believe Gavlar has some penalties and I believe Rayner has a 3-second time penalty too. So provisionally this is for position, but we will see come the end of the race where they all finish. Rayner and AJ Wuhan all within a second of Stead. Will they be able to use DRS and double toe through the sector? We see a car going wide at sector. I think that is Toonfan. Toonfan, it is indeed spinning. It almost takes out the Ferrari and the Red Bull. Red Bull happens to go very wide there. Collision in fact between Super Steve and Toonfan. Push the Mavericks. Rayner goes through on Stead then in the DRS, and we're on lap 29 of 29. This is the final lap of the Grand Prix. This is your battle for P4 then. Nathan closing up to the real DC. The gap is just a 1.5 seconds. Tristan's given a 3-second time penalty then. What will happen at the front of this race? Those soft tyres looking like they might be going off for the Renault driver, but with just half a lap remaining and only 1 DRS zone, is the Alfa Romeo driver going to be close enough? We shall see. Doesn't look like it. Back down to P4 then. Rayner leads Stead and AJ Wuhan as they come through turn 10. Who is going to come out of this battle on top? I'd love to stay on board, but we'll have to jump back to the leaders in a second. Look at them as they're going 3 almost back to back through turn 11, up the hill through turn 12. Don't make a mistake now, boys. So they come back onto the penultimate final straight. Stead's giving a 3-second time penalty. I said there'd be penalties. There's one of them. As DC comes across the line then, takes the victory here in Bahrain. Nathan crosses the line in P2. What a drive after spinning very early on then. Gavlar, brilliant stint on those harder tyres, sees him come home in P3. Rayner leads the 3 cars then for P4. Stead will be P5, but he will finish P4 because of those time penalties as AJ Wuhan goes up to P5. LH comes across in P7 then. What a result. Go on, puppy son, as you cross the line and you finish in P8. Well done to him. Super Steve will then come across the line next to 4 P9. Tristan retires from the station, so Tristan has gone wide after a collision at turn 12 with Toonfan. He's given a severe penalty there for the Haas driver. He has taken out Tristan by the looks of things. And you can see there the tyre wear sending that Haas into a spin. Well done to Steve as he takes P10. Maverick crossing the line behind him, but time penalties promoting him to P9. Monopono, the last driver then to cross the track as he drives past the stricken Mercedes of Tristan. What a race this has been. Congratulations to the real DC. Started P4 on the grid, finishes P1. Nathan, after starting on pole, having that instant with a couple of drivers, seeing him spin and going back down the grid, he's managed to push his way up to P2. What a drive for Gavlar too as well. He rounds out the podium, then 20 laps on those harder tyres. I said they'd make about 18 or 19. He's pushed them even further to 20. But congratulations also go to Stead. Brilliant stint in that battle with the two Williams. He's come out on top. He finishes P4. Rayner behind Jacob then as they finish 4 and 5. So there you have it then, the Renault driver on the top step. Not for the first time this year. Congratulations to the real DC and Nathan and Gavlar as well. Round 15 of WNR Silver over and done with then. Thank you very much for tuning in. What a brilliant race that was. And obviously we look to do it all again next week. Remember, RRC runs 6 races across the week, so tune in to our YouTube channel or follow us on Facebook for more information if you are interested in getting involved. So there you have it then, your race at Bahrain. Shout out to Puppy there, 5 places he finished ahead. Super Steve 7 places gained. 5 places for Monopono. Unluckily for Toonfan, with those penalties, drops him down to P12. Remember, he spun on that last lap. Rayner's 5-second penalty costing him there a P4 and those extra few points. I did say at the start of this race, Mercedes had to be outscored by Williams by 37 points to take a victory in the constructors across both divisions. They've outscored them in this race. Obviously, Stead finishing ahead, but the double points finish for Williams. Congratulations go to Brandon as well, who wins the championship in the gold division for this race. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we shall see you next week.